Good day, everyone. So we are here at the Sun Gonomiya Shrine, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's been quite a while, honestly, since I've been here in game. But what I want to do for today is actually talk a bit about a couple of random topics. So some of these I've prepared in advance, and hopefully you guys will find this really, really interesting, and you can get a bit more of a deeper sense of how I think about things, and I think it will be quite educational. So, without any further delay, let's start off on the first topic, and that is a game that I want to play with you guys. So, it is called Guess the Next Number, and it's exactly what it says. You have a couple of numbers here in column A and in column B, and you can see here this actually forms a sequence. So, I've numbered it very, very nicely for you guys. So, what is the 18th number in the sequence? I'll give you a couple of hints. Hint number one, columns A and B have got nothing to do with each other. The hint number two is, let me show you actually how the numbers look, because you might just say, well, numbers on their own don't mean a lot, but a graph is kind of powerful. So here you can see here are the numbers in column A, and from this you might say, well, maybe every fifth number is high. It looks like it. I don't know. You can see it's going down again, maybe. Well, this is kind of difficult. So, well, how does column B look? Because column A is kind of tricky to predict. Oh well, that's not really going to help anyone at all. And this is kind of the point. You can actually not guess what these numbers are because these are completely random sequences. You can see I sort of generated with the rand function in Excel. On a very, very super technical note, you can technically predict this, but you'll need very specialized tools to know what Excel's generating and so on. But for all intents and purposes, we cannot predict a random number. We cannot extrapolate this pattern or this sequence because by definition it is actually random. So this entire game has been rigged from the start, and you might say, well, what's the point in guessing a random number because it is random by definition? Well, here's the thing that a lot of people don't seem to realize. When you work with numbers and probabilities, you need a framework or a systematic way for you to understand how things work. And this is something that I want to tie into one of my latest community posts where I sort of said, well, look at this. This is a way we can fix the gacha system in Genshin. And a lot of people in the comments section went on and said, well, they'll never change the gacha system. Why are we even talking about something we can't change? Very much in the same way, why are we talking about something that's random that we cannot predict? And this is where I think a lot of people sort of are very shallow in their thinking. Because once you have a framework for how randomness in this case works, you'll realize that there's actually a pattern to the randomness. The type of randomness is actually kind of cool. And obviously in the real world, when we apply sort of random matrix theory and the theory of randomness and probability and statistics, we can actually distinguish between things we see, for instance, like stock prices in the market, some processes in nature that are actually random versus things that are not random, and therefore they've got information that we can extract. And in very much the same way with Genshin Impact, if you understand how the probabilities and all these sorts of odds and so on work, you are much better off. So instead of saying, oh yeah, don't change the gacha system, first understand how the gacha works, and then you can comment on how another game's gacha system is supposedly worse. Because in a certain sense, if you don't understand from a mathematical, like have a real in-depth understanding of how these things and these pools work, the conversation becomes meaningless. What's there to argue? I can't argue with simpletons. I need someone to go into the maths, and then we can have a good argument around how perhaps how things should change, or whether things are actually fine. And if we want to change things, or if we could change things, how we would change them. And then lastly, by extension, if we had a game that comes out that actually gives us something that we can consider to be fair, we would be more likely to play a game like that and avoid games that do not conform to what we want in terms of probabilities. So yeah, I know that's quite a mouthful and all of that, but it's hopefully to tell you guys, or just to sort of spark your imagination a bit, that a lot of the discussions that seem obvious, why predict something that is completely random, actually has a lot behind it. There's a lot packed into it. And yes, I don't want to give you guys a statistics lecture, but probabilities, since I use them professionally in the real world as well as from mathematical statistics background, are really, really exciting. And there's nothing more exciting than getting into the sort of deep end as to how things work, how the probabilities actually work, and so on. By the way, the spreadsheet is not entirely correct. The guys at Genshin Lab have obviously done a proper analysis as to the correct in-game probabilities from an empirical basis, which is pretty awesome. So when you guys do see interesting takes like this, always consider perhaps there's something more to it. Alright guys, now with that first topic being done, I think this sets the stage for the next topic, and that is one of the comments that I got in the comment section. So DGen Impact here basically asked me, hi Kokomi clan, now that pretty much most of the meta players recognize the strength of Kokomi and rate her highly in their tier list, how do you feel about it? And I think the when which I can answer it is, I think she's meta, but not for the reasons she should be meta for. Basically, a lot of people rate her highly because of the fact that you can just slap Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer on it, Quick Tenacity of a Millif, and there you go, you've got a jellyfish bot that can be used in freeze teams. And I think this is the problem that I've got again with the Genshin Impact community. They don't understand that Kokomi's actually got way more that she's offering, and it's actually as a result of this moreness or this extraness that she is meta. So what do I mean by that? Well, you guys on the channel obviously know that I've spoken a lot about the terms role consolidation or role compression. In fact, I was one of the first people months ago on Kokomi Mains to introduce this very concept of role consolidation, role compression, in which I basically said the power of Kokomi is the fact that she can heal, she can buff, for instance, using the field applications like the Hydra applications, tank and deal damage all at the same time. And obviously, if I had to rewrite this article, I'd put in the ability to do range damage with ease. So in my opinion, the reason why Kokomi is strong is because an aspect of her role consolidation is being filtered through right now and is pretty much strong in the meta. But I think this still doesn't tell you all that there is about Kokomi, or it actually, or how can I put it? A lot of people play Kokomi, but not really to the full potential of the strengths that she can offer in terms of the teams. And in a certain sense, I think that is why I think she's still a bit sort of underrated. For me, it's not the Hydra application that makes the character, it's all of the things that she can do simultaneously, all of that optionality that she gives you from a support or like a defensive character. And that is why I think she should probably be, she's one of those characters that will always be relevant, perhaps not always be meta, but certainly she will always have a place in comparison to a lot of her peers and so on. And this is something we've spoken about quite a lot on the channel. So yes, how does it make me feel? In a certain sense, I'm 50-50 on it. And that is basically because people don't recognize the full potential of the character. It's almost like we've shoved Kokomi into a box that neatly fits the stereotypes, and we can do all our theory crafting calculations, and in that box is what she will stay as, and there's nothing more to the character. And I feel that's not really what Kokomi is. That's like the best way I can explain it. But again, it comes down back to what I've said earlier. If we just looked at Kokomi and said, oh, this character can't crit, therefore, bad, end off, why would you want to play with a character that can't crit? This is what a lot of people said. Again, this is coming back to the thing we spoke about earlier. Why guess a random number? Because it's random, it's like, why guess the next number if it's random? Why play with a character that is like, that can't crit? It's that very same principle that people don't think a bit about the situation in more detail. And yeah, that's why I think people haven't really still to today actually understand how Kokomi works, and they still don't understand how Yamiko works, but hopefully in the future that will be proven otherwise. Alright, so now let's get into the third and final topic, and this is something that I found here on my sort of channel where someone said on my Yellen video here, they said, dude, Yulan, not Yellen. Now, personally, I do not know how to pronounce Chinese names. I will get the tones. I know they've got different tones and so on. I know I can't get it right. But for me, when I try to pronounce character names and so on, I'll either stick to something consistent like Kokomi, which is the Japanese way of pronouncing it instead of Kokomi. So that is just how my sort of style works. Once I stick to a way of pronouncing it, I'll keep to that because I don't want to irritate people. But if a lot of people actually tell me in the comment sections, please just pronounce it as Yulan, then I'll pronounce it that way. So for me, it's much more about the fact that you guys have to listen to me, and if you don't like the pronunciation, well, then I'll change it. But I think most people were pretty much talking about other things. So I think it's pretty alright saying Yellen. For interest's sake, let's just see what the in-game characters say about her. I think I think we can probably use Ganyu. I don't think the other characters, I don't think Shen has got anything to say about her. About Beta, Yunjin, nope, there's nothing about Yellen right here. So let's see, Ganyu. Ah, here we go. Okay, so did you guys hear it right in the beginning? So let me just play it. Eren Sanwa. So basically that is Japanese, and that's sort of how they pronounce it, so you guys sort of heard it. The way you would spell it would be in Japanese, obviously it would be something like this. Eren. So it's almost this is difficult to transcribe in English. If I had to do it literally, it would be something like this. But it's Eren, so you have to read the katakana properly here, but that's what Ganyu is like saying. I'm not sure exactly what the kanji is and so on, but yeah, this is what the Japanese pronunciation is. So you guys can pick. Do you want the hardcore Chinese, hopefully, I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly here. Do you want Yellen, which I think is the most comfortable for me? Or do you want like the Eren sort of pronunciation from Japanese? I guess most people probably just say it Yellen and get over it. But yeah, so pronunciation is something, it comes and goes. I just want to stick to something that's consistent, and if people complain, then I can change it. So that's what I've got to say about that. Yeah, but other than that, thank you guys actually for sticking around. I will try and address all your comments and stuff like that. I've just always have like with these community posts, you just get like a waterfall. You guys will YouTube. Oops, something went wrong whilst I'm recording. But I just get like a waterfall of comments, and then it's just like takes forever to work through it. So I will get to what you guys have to say and so on, and not Kokomi again. We will always, oops, I can't even spell. Always Kokomi. There we go. So we've even corrected that comment. But yeah, I'll try and get to your comments, and thank you guys for watching this 3-part video. Hopefully it meant something. Cheers.